Hey, I'd like to welcome you to another episode of the Mission Matters Business Podcast, your source for all things business. My name is Adam Torres. You can follow me on Instagram at AskAdamTorres. Keep up with my book releases, book tour schedule, signings, all that other good stuff. Always love to connect with you there. And as always, if you'd like to apply to become a co-author of one of my upcoming books, just head on over to the website, missionmatters.com, and click on Become an Author to apply. All right, so today I have Aneesh Chaudhry on the line, and he's owner and founder over at SoulPhysio Lifestyle. Aneesh, welcome to the show.
Thanks a lot for having me, Adam. It's wonderful to be here.
All right, so I'm excited to get into today's topic. So we're going to talk about the importance of brain health. A lot of business owners, entrepreneurs, executives listening right now, and this is a hot topic, so I'm excited to get into it. But before we do, I want to go a little bit further into what you're doing over at SoulPhysio Lifestyle. Tell us a little bit more about your business, please.
Absolutely. So SoulPhysio Lifestyle is a company that focuses on bridging the gap between Eastern and Western medicine. I currently own 2 clinics in the Southern California area, exactly as I mentioned, one focused on brain health and the other on Eastern medicine, where we are currently conducting research on children with mental and neurological illness, as well as providing services to the general public. And we also work with schools and corporations to be able to put together customized programs using the most cutting-edge research in brain health and Eastern medicine to boost employee productivity, employee happiness, and then at the school level, being able to really optimize brain health within the youth to help combat mental and neurological illness.
That's awesome, and that's why I wanted you on the line today to talk about the importance of brain health. So where do you want to start this topic? Big topic.
You know, I think it's a big segue would be to kind of talk about, just the importance of brain health in the youth is a wonderful place to start. And I know for me that I faced a certain amount of struggles in my life to where I've had to really, really dig deep and teach myself the importance of taking care of my brain and how everything I do, down to what I put in my mouth, to my thoughts that I have on a daily basis, really, really do have an impact on the brain, because there is a lot of emerging research on the topic of neuroplasticity showing how our brain is able to essentially reshape itself, and it reshapes itself in response to, like I mentioned, everything that we do, down to the thoughts we have, to the food we eat, the people we associate ourselves with, and that can really either be in a positive or negative way.
That's awesome. And so, what, a lot of people listening right now, where does somebody start with this? Like, is it habits like that they have? I mean, where do they, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but where do they start with kind of improving their brain health or going down that right path? Because I don't think anybody initially, like, nobody's out there saying, well, I don't care about my brain and I want to make these choices that aren't going to help it, right? Like, I think a lot of it's lack of knowledge.
Exactly, and I think you said the key few words is lack of knowledge. So the first step in being able to make a change is being able to educate on, okay, what does living a brain healthy lifestyle look like? And there are tons of resources out there, and the company that I work with are called the Amen Clinics, and they have 8 clinics around the country, and Dr. Amen is kind of looked at as a pioneer in brain health and being able to bring brain health in everyday life. So I believe the first step is simply learning areas to improve and kind of what foods can work for you, how meditation and mindfulness could be great tools, because it's such a vast topic. But I think the first step is being able to research what a brain-healthy lifestyle looks like. That way one can see what changes they would need to make in their own life. Because you're absolutely right, Adam. No one's ever going to just look in the mirror and be like, wow, I have serious problems, unless there are serious consequences. So I think there's like one side of it where if people have consequences, that opens up like, okay, well, I have to change. But then I think this is applicable to the average everyday person who think may be able to check the boxes of living a good life. I think that this is really a way to go from living a good life to being able to live a life beyond your wildest dreams.
What are some, if there are, what are some simple things that people can do right now? Like, what's that low-hanging fruit that people should be thinking about? Because I don't want to assume that everybody knows.
So the low-hanging fruit that I always like to share with people, and people may not think of this right away, is actually meditation. Because meditation is now being shown through research to actually increase blood flow to the brain and be able to create the growth of new brain tissue, And more specifically, it's able to calm down the emotional centers of the brain and increase the rational centers of the brain. And how that could equate to daily life is not responding as much to emotions and being able to think. And I think that's one area that so many people can relate to is emotion regulation and stress management.
I think that, and I think, so we've been talking a bit about what it means to bring this into the schools and to work with children. Let's talk a little bit more about the business and the workplace. So speaking of stress and stress management and what that can mean.
Yeah, so I think like we mentioned the schools, and I work with parents and children to teach them to put together a family strategy, and I think that could be a great approach, is being able to turn it into a family thing. You could have time with the family to meditate or time with the family to cook, and I think that's not only going to be great for the children but for the parents too. And I think how this comes into the workplace is that we are in a time where stress is a buzzword, but people are not aware of what the word stress is. And I think there's a very common misconception out there that stress is something that happens to us, that happens to us from the outside world, and that we don't have control over it. Like, people are saying they're stressed out and they're anxious, but they don't really know what that means. And I think I should really take the time to clarify that stress is actually an internal response to an external event. And what that means is that we can ultimately control our stress by learning how to breathe. And that's why meditation is such a vital tool.
Man, it makes so much sense, and it sounds so simple, and it's one of those things where we've been told it, we've heard it, and some of the people listening to this right now are like, okay, I'll meditate. Some of them have fallen maybe off their practice, and they're like, oh, thank you for the reminder, Aneesh.
Right.
So I mean,
right.
and then all of the above, and then there's those that are like have never tried it. So let's talk to those that maybe haven't really, they've heard of it, they've thought about it, and maybe they're finally going to make the decision to head in that direction and start learning more. Where do you suggest somebody start?
Like I said, the first thing is being able to do some research on it. I think that's a great place. But as far as having a practice, I want to clear up another misconception, because I think there's a lot of different beliefs about the word meditation and how it could be stigmatized and associated with religion. And that's why I don't talk anything about religion, because I don't want to knock what anybody's faith or current practice is. Whatever that is amazing. I encourage people to continue doing that, and whatever that may look like, but rather adopting meditation as a tool to build a healthier brain. And I think that's really like the kind of first mindset and intention to go into the practice with, is that by doing this on a daily basis, starting as simple as 5 minutes a day, that I can increase blood flow to my brain and essentially reduce stress, boost productivity, and all these amazing benefits that come along with it. So I think having the right intention is the first place mentally, and then what a practice looks like could be as simple as waking up in the morning for 5 minutes, finding a quiet place within the house. May not be easy, say, if you have young children, but finding as close to a quiet place as you can, sitting comfortably in a position where you perhaps are sitting on a cushion, to where you could have the hips elevated higher than the knees, because that's going to give you a level of comfort, to where that way you can calm your mind with practice, and then close the eyes, make sure the spine is nice and aligned, sit, and then simply focusing on the breath and breathing deeply. And I think that it's the breath and the act of deep breathing actually increases the body's ability to absorb oxygen, and then that oxygen is what is able to fuel the increased blood flow to the brain to create that growth of new brain tissue. So really, Adam, it's as simple as just sitting and focusing on the breath. And then if people want to start to experiment with other different types of meditation, that's where research can come in, and people can go down different paths or perhaps different practices that can resonate with them on a deeper level.
Fantastic. Well, Aneesh, really been great having you on the show today to educate us more on brain health and what that means, and some tips to start heading down that healthy brain lifestyle. And so that being said, if somebody's listening to this and they want to learn more about SoulPhysio Lifestyle, I mean, what's the best way for them to connect with you and your team?
Absolutely. So I can be reached at www.soulphysiolifestyle.com. That's spelled SoulPhysio lifestyle.com. Or feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn. My first name is Aneesh, Aneesh. Last name Chaudhry, Chaudhry. Feel free to shoot me a message on there, or you can fill out a contact form on my website, and I will make it a priority to get back to you within the next 48 hours. More than happy to answer any questions and help out anybody along their journey to being able to build a healthier brain.
Fantastic. Well, Aneesh, really appreciate you coming on the show today and sharing more about what you're doing over at SoulPhysio. And to the audience, as always, thank you for tuning in. Hope you got a lot of value out of this. If you did, don't forget to subscribe to the podcast, leave me a review on the Apple iTunes Store, and if you're watching this on our YouTube channel, Mission Matters Business, definitely give us a subscribe there, but also leave some comments in the video. Love to know what kind of things and projects that you're working on. And Aneesh, thanks again for coming on the show.
Thanks so much for having me, Adam. It's been a pleasure.